My name is Mayra Gabriella. I go by Mayra Gabriella. Job title, tattooer. I'm a tattoo artist. I've been tattooing for about 7 years now. So when I first started, they were having me do a lot of what's called traditional tattooing, which is a lot of simple, bold lines, minimal color palette. And that's like pretty much the original art of tattooing. Then came neo-traditional, which is a little more of a realistic take on traditional, which is what I like. I like the bold lines. I like the heavy saturation, the colors, but I love shading and adding different mixes to the colors, because usually traditional is just like maybe one or two colors and a heavy black shade. With neo, it's a little bit of more than that, like a little bit of everything. So it could be more like realistic sometimes, but it still has that boldness to it, and which is what I like. I love doing animal portraits as well, because those just make me really happy. Anything that's like nature, like floral. I love like witchy stuff and just magic, I guess. Yeah, there's some people who like Geo, who do like Japanese and stuff. That's really cool, but I feel more comfortable doing like my own little mix of creatures and magic and animals and stuff. Day-to-day activities would be waking up, trying to prepare for what I have to do that day, at least a little sketch or something. Based on what my client wants. And yeah, just get here, do my setup, which is like pretty much set up my table back there, sign in my client, talk to my client, see if they like their design. And if not, we can, move it around, stuff like that. And yeah, after that, we get going. We're there for a few hours and then send them on their way, wrap them up, and then clean up, which is very important, because if you don't know how to clean up, you can potentially put yourself at risk for diseases and stuff like that. Yeah. Formal schooling, there isn't really a requirement for it. I know nowadays they're trying to make kind of like an academy, like an art academy, but for like tattooers in the future. But it kind of contradicts what we believe in and kind of what we're going for. I think as artists, we all want that liberty of being able to do what we want, and kind of putting tattooing in that certain formal education kind of goes a little bit against that. What we did to become art, at least what I did, what most people do, is we apprentice, kind of like an internship. Mine almost was 3 years. Other people way shorter. It just depends on how fast you learn, how fast you get down the cleaning and the bloodborne pathogens and the cross contamination and all this other stuff. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I went to some college, some like community college, which kind of helped a little bit from like the art classes I took, but that's about it. It's not a live pig. A lot of people think that it's like a live pig, and it's not. They had us practice on like pig skin that you can buy. Usually people buy that for like chicharrones and stuff like that. And like, yeah, or pig ears. Yeah. But nowadays people just buy like fake skin. Like there's this hand over here. Ugh. You could just tattoo on it and stuff. And it's weird because it looks really real, and it has like fingerprints and stuff. And yeah, you could just use that. So I got into it because as a kid, art was kind of like an outlet for me. Being as like I could express myself a lot. And I would express that a lot on myself. Actually, I would draw on myself all the time and I would get in trouble for it, for bringing like Sharpies to school and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's what really got me into it, because some people or kids would come up to me and think I'm weird for drawing on myself. And next thing you know, they're asking me to draw on their arm. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you don't think I'm that weird because you want that, you know? And yeah, it's I really like that freedom of doodling all day. Um, doodling, it's kind of more than that, but yeah, that's what really got me into it. It's not just, you know, tattooing. It provides you the opportunity to expand your friendships with different people across the world, because you also get to travel with that, go to conventions and do that kind of stuff. It can be a bit of both. I actually work at a shop, so we have a lot of coworkers. We think there's like about 9 of us here, but there's a lot of people who rather work by themselves, which is totally okay. What they do is they get a private studio and pretty much have their setup however they want it. So maybe in the future I could have that, you know, retire and just have a little thing for whenever I want to tattoo. Yeah, not really. I think I just started off with like wanting a tattoo, so I didn't really do anything else. Um, I'd help my mom sometimes in her job, and she's like a saleswoman, and she has really good people skills and stuff. But honestly, I don't really think I do. Like, I mean, I do when I'm talking to my clients, um, but when I'm out being social, I kind of just shy away. Other than that, I haven't had really much work experience other than what I do. I think being a really good people person helps, like relating to someone. Because when you're sitting there for a very long time, people will tell you a lot about their lives. And you kind of have to be there for them. I mean, you don't have to, but then I think they'll think that you're rude or something and probably not want to be around you again. I mean, you are hurting them for a long time. So you kind of have to be supportive. Also, you can't be negative and just tell them to like suck it up, you know? You have to coach them, tell them to breathe. Yeah. I think obviously you have to be somewhat talented when it comes to art. You can't just come in at it and not knowing how to do a, you know, a sketch or something, and you can really mess people up like that. A lot of people nowadays use iPads and stuff, which is more of a modern thing. Um, but a good old pen and paper, you know, stuff to draw and stuff. And machines. Let me see if I can tattoo machines, needles, tubes. There's a lot. We have a lot. Paper towels, things like that. Also, sanitation is really important. You can't just wipe things down with like a Clorox wipe, because that's not how things work. Um, yeah, uh, bloodborne pathogen stuff. You have to have your license from the city. So basically what it is first of all, you need your bloodborne pathogens test certification, which is this little test you take online, pretty much saying that you know how to not cross contaminate and make sure everything is clean. After that, you take it to the city after your apprenticeship, and the city, well, health department actually, yeah, ask for your tattooing license and pay that, and then you have to like renew it every year. And different states require different things. Like I think in Oregon they required you to actually take like schooling, which is weird because it's weird. Anyway, they're really trying to push that. Here it's, I think Riverside is more of like a business license, and here it's more of like a health thing. I've traveled a lot, especially with like tattoo conventions and stuff. Recently because of COVID, I haven't really, and it kind of sucks, but we're doing our best. Yeah, it's really cool. I think my first traveling was to Oregon, Portland, and it was for a body art expo. And it was really nerve-wracking, but I did okay. Internationally as well, especially if you're a good tattooer, people are always looking for you to come visit their countries and like advantages is you tend to help people with their closure, I guess, if they lose someone. Um, I've had a client who lost her dog in a really tragic way. And like she was really beat up about it for a few months. And I finally gave her like a dog portrait over like some self inflicted scars that she had from the past. And we covered those with that dog portrait. And after that, I'm like, well, you see, now you have your dog and he's always going to have your back. And that's permanent and that's closure. And like she just started crying. I was like, ah. But I mean, it helps people with closure if you want to like memorize, you know, someone's face for the rest of your life. It shows commitment. It shows, you know, I don't know, purpose. But some people say that like, especially back then when they used to do more of like tribal tattoos, that it meant something, you know, it means, I don't know, certain some symbolisms and stuff like that. Disadvantages is people move a lot and they cry and they bleed. And yeah, you have to be really patient. Be really patient because your body can give out as well. I've had this like 6'4" dude pass out right on top of me, and that was weird. But when we got through it, it was okay. I still haven't seen him since, but hopefully he comes back. Yeah. Good one because a lot of people think of tattooing as like a kind of like a rock star thing. And I feel like if you have that mentality and you just go in and like burn yourself out, you can lose interest in it very fast, which means that you won't make a lot of money. I think if you're smart about it and you're consistent and you put in a lot of work, a lot of hours, you're going to make a good amount of money. And yeah, you can totally be like comfortable with what you're making. Yeah. It all depends on the person, honestly. There's a lot of it. Like I get a lot of like people looking at me um not thinking that I'm a tattooer because I'm kind of dorky and I'm a girl. So I get that a lot. Like, oh, you did that? Oh, tight. You're a girl. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. um, also, like people judge. People judge really hard. Um, always think, you know, like everyone's different and it's okay that people look different. That shouldn't mean that you should like treat them any different for our jobs. Like I know my coworker Gio, he can't like go into certain clubs or like restaurants and stuff because he looks like a prisoner. For people say, because he has like tattoos all over his face and eyelids, and like it's just yeah, you get judged really hard. But at the same time, it's really cool that you can stand out from, you know, a lot of people. Um, with that being said, people that look at my tattoos, they just assume that either I'm a barista or like a hairstylist, or and then they go to like tattooer, and that helps me because it's kind of like free advertisement, you know? Like, yeah. I only done one on myself, but it didn't really come out that great, and it was like the first tattoo I've ever done on a human being. And that's because my mentors were like, "Oh, you want to know what it feels like, right?" And I'm like, "Well, I already know what it feels like." And they're like, "But you want to know what you feel like?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so I had to do it, and it was okay. I survived. I won't do it again. sometimes we throw events, like charitable events, if not like, I know the shop here had a like a self, I forgot what they called it, but they had like a mental awareness event to where, you know, people suffering from depression, anxiety, or like other mental disorders came through, and we had like pre-designed flash designed kind of towards that. And so people came through, got a tattoo. We donated, I think, some of the proceeds to like, I'm not too sure because I wasn't here yet, but I know they did that. I mean, I made a lot of friendships, and that's been really cool. I met like some really legendary tattooers, and it's a pretty great opportunity. Traveling also, it's been really good. I actually won an award in like Chicago for like third place on a small black and gray tattoo, and that was like really cool. I've never really won anything. And like personal benefits, I mean, I don't know, it feels good to help people out who want something, you know, and like need, like I said, closure. A lot of people come get a tattoo because they have like this feeling of like needing to move on, and I kind of help people with that. That feels kind of good. Negative, besides just being judged on the regular, like not really. I mean, I do my job, I help people out, and I make a good living. I don't think I really have anything to complain about other than maybe like my bones. Like, you know, arthritis is probably bad. Like my body, oh, I guess that's one downside is like you're always constantly sitting down and like arching your back, and like your hands and bones are always cracking. And I think, and that's more of a personal problem because I have that choice of like also working on my body, and I really haven't had the opportunity to put that aside yet. So yeah, just health wise. Other than that, like everything's pretty cool. Forever. I think I'd probably have to retire when I'm like 50, you know, because like my hands are gonna be like, "Ah," and yeah. It can take up like your entire life. You have to think about it this way. We come here, we have our consultations, we draw stuff up, tattoo for hours, and then still have to go home and do our emails and draw stuff for the next day. So it can take up like your whole life if you let it. I barely got an assistant to help me out with my emails, which has made my life like super great, because that pressure's off. And I think that's what I hated most about like tattooing is like emails, because you can get really backed up and it can be a lot on you, especially if you let it accumulate. Um, but yeah, know that you want it because you're gonna go through a lot getting it. Um, you have to sacrifice a lot, especially in your apprenticeship. Um, I for sure have cried a few times during my apprenticeship because it could be a lot, especially if it's more of a traditional apprenticeship and not a paid apprenticeship. Um, so you have to go through that unless you just take like a tattoo academy school thing, which is cool. I hope they like teach people sanitation and everything too, which I think is the main focus. Um, but they don't really teach you how to like talk to people, like everyday people. And that's kind of like the danger of it, because sometimes you could be talking to someone that will give you a really hard time, and you have to have that like thicker skin to like rub it off or let it, you know, not affect you so much. And I don't think they teach people that in like the tattoo academy or whatever the heck it's called. You just have to know, you have to be really passionate about art and, you know, drawing. You have to draw every day. um it's not just like a career you can like try to make money off real quick. It's like more of a, I don't know, like an investment, not only your time, but like your body as well. You have to go through a lot of hours of like practicing and stuff like that. And I guess you'll know. I mean, try to apprentice for a few months, and if you can't handle it, then you probably shouldn't tattoo. I suggest that if you really are serious about tattooing, that you start early. Start building your portfolio at an early age. Collect everything you do. Um, I say about every year, try to draw something, and then the next year redraw it to see the difference and see how much you've grown. And that's really important. You have to keep an open mind. Don't take criticism to heart, but do, because that's how you learn. Um, there's always going to be people putting you down and like, doubting you and stuff like that. That never really goes away, especially in your own head too. Like you have a lot of self-doubt. Just push through it. Especially if you know that you want to do this for a long time. You can't let that like phase you. But you also have to keep an open mind and listen to what others say. Criticism can be really harsh sometimes, but it's just criticism, and you can always improve and you can always learn. I say the day you stop learning is the day you should probably think about doing something else, because then that's when you lose passion over it.